Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us on DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Wednesday, September 24th. Hi, John. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Ted. Good to see you.
And I just want to say, by the way, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm on the board today, so any mistakes are mine, not Robbie's. Also, please like, follow, and share the show. We appreciate your questions, and we will answer them in the chats. Please watch us on Rumble if you can. Next week, we're switching to a morning schedule for 3 weeks, but not until Wednesday. But heads up, we're here at 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Until then, also, we're about to drop. We just recorded a couple of really cool things. We just interviewed Reality Winner this morning. We will be playing that Tuesday night in lieu of the live show, but we'll run it as a live so people can have the chat. But John and I will not be in the chat, but we'll be airing that at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Great interview, very, very wide ranging. Check out her book, I Am Not Your Enemy. Also, John did part 3 of his interview with yours truly. We're starting to get into the LA Times bullshit, so keep an eye out for that. Robbie will announce when we're dropping all those interviews as Rumble Premium content. Okay, John, let's get to the news. Dallas, in the Dallas ICE office, we have another rooftop shooter. They shot at the indiscriminately at a van and at the field office. Presumably, they were aiming at ICE because Kash Patel showed unused ammo that said anti-ICE on it. Subtle. Yep. Of course, that could be misdirection. But it's 2 detainees who were killed. No, as far as we know, no one from ICE has been injured. We'll get into that. YouTube has decided to roll back its bans of users who were deemed guilty of COVID and 2020 election denialism. We'll get into that. Visas, State Department is actually trolling social media to look at tourists and other visa holders in the U.S. to see if they said anything mean about Charlie Kirk. So and they're being banned and thrown out of the country. Ben Carson, remember him? He's back in the Trump administration. He's joining the USDA. He'll be RFK's sidekick for MAHA. And this might be, in a way, the most formidable news of the day. Donald Trump promised Arab and Muslim countries that he will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank, something that Israel has been threatening to do in retaliation for all the acknowledgments of Palestine as a sovereign state at the UN General Assembly this week. And we were looking at maybe even an annexation announcement as soon as this Friday. So a lot to go over. John, what do you think? What should we get into first?
You know, as much as I would love to talk about John Bolton and disappearing statues on the National Mall and a couple of other things that really aren't that important but are kind of fun, I think we should probably start with Israel's threat to annex the West Bank.
Okay.
Israel has annexed the Golan Heights. That's an act of war. It's a violation of international law. You're not allowed to annex land that is conquered during war, a time of war. The threat to annex the West Bank would be, from the Israeli perspective, the end of any Palestinian attempt at statehood. It would be over. Donald Trump says not going to happen. It shouldn't happen, but this is going to be that classic pissing match. And who blinks first, Donald Trump or Benjamin Netanyahu? We already see that Netanyahu is willing to bomb Iran and to bomb Qatar and to do anything he damn well pleases. What's to stop him from annexing the West Bank and then saying to Donald Trump, what are you going to do about it? That really frightens me. Now, nobody in the world will recognize that annexation. But I'm not sure Donald Trump has the wherewithal to stand up to Netanyahu. What do you think?
I'm not sure either. I mean, I want to point out that the facts on the ground are already pretty rough for the Palestinians and for the people of the West Bank. I mean, by some accounts, there are as many as 2,000 checkpoints inside the West Bank. all manned by the IDF. They allow their violent colonialist settlers to run wild and steal people's houses, destroy their houses, trash their cars, beat them up, set them on fire, and even murder them with impunity. And the IDF just stands by and laughs and doesn't give a shit. By some analysis, 60% of the West Bank has effectively already been annexed. And as much as I would like to say, well, in a perfect world, all those illegal settlers would be evicted, and all of that would be turned over en masse, turned over to their rightful owners, the Palestinians. I don't think, you and I both know that's not likely to happen, even if we do move in a better direction from the standpoint of a free and independent Palestine. So, it is a pissing match, right? I mean, you sized it up exactly. I mean, this is a game of chicken. Israel, the far right part of the Netanyahu war cabinet coalition wants annexation of both the West Bank and the Gaza Strip.
Yes.
And I don't know if Netanyahu can say no to them, right? So Trump is making this promise. He knows, though, that, I mean, obviously he must be worried sick about something. I guess he'll just figure he'll lose the entire Middle East forever if this happens. I would say that's accurate.
I can't imagine an Arab country continuing to maintain diplomatic relations with Israel if they annex the West Bank. And I'm including Jordan and Egypt in that as well. I agree with that. Be like the worst possible thing that Israel could do for Israel. Besides the fact that Houdini points out correctly, it would also increase Israel's Arab population by 45%. 45%.
Well, then Israel would have to pretend to be a democracy. Right. That would be a major problem. I mean, I don't think they would, right? I think they would annex it and they would give them second-class citizenship.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. Yeah. Voting.
Yeah, which, I mean, in a way, they kind of already have for the Arab Israelis. They're not full-fledged Israeli citizens in the same. They don't have all the same privileges at all, right, no matter how much the Israelis like to claim that they do. I think it's a big deal, right? I mean, look, I'm glad that Trump made this promise. Obviously, it's way belated and it's not nearly enough. And truly, the United States, we should completely cut off Israel financially and militarily and in terms of intelligence, and no more vetoes at the UN. None of that, right? So this seems to me like, I guess this is Donald Trump's red line for Israel. This is the one thing he will not allow them to do. Yeah, that's my read here.
I hope. I really, really want to believe Donald Trump on this, but who knows? I mean, he promised to be the anti-war president. He promised to end the war, for example, within 24 hours between Ukraine and Russia. That's a joke.
Which brings up Matthew Blair Rain's question: have we heard about Trump in Ukraine? Yeah, of course we have.
Oh yeah.
And Trump has obviously been. He did it seems to be a total flip flop, but John, I don't read it that way. I think with Donald Trump, who's not exactly the most coherent communicator, I think what this is, it's a cheap way of making good on his threat from a few months ago, where he said, if I can't make a quick deal, I'm walking away and just allowing the war to go on. I thought the key part of Trump's statement about Ukraine was he said Ukraine could take back all of its pre-war territory. He's not defining whether the war began in 2014, so whether that would include Crimea or not, or whether he starts it in 2022. I'm suspecting he's thinking of 2022, but I don't know. Right. But the key phrase in there is with the help of the European Union. He's not saying the United States.
No.
He's not even saying NATO. He's saying the EU. I thought that was a very carefully chosen phrase.
Most definitely. Yeah, so, very carefully chosen. I think really the how should I say this? I think that Donald Trump really doesn't have a policy. I think he pretended to, and he thought that he could fake his way through it by beating up on Zelensky. And that's why we saw that very well staged, previously choreographed fist fight, smackdown in the Oval Office when Zelensky went and was told off by Trump and Vance. But I think deep down, there really isn't a policy. I think that Trump believed that if he spoke loudly enough and belligerently enough, that the Russians would declare victory and just stop. And that he, Trump, could bully Zelensky and the Ukrainians just to accept the status quo. And it's not Zelensky that's been the fly in the ointment. It's been Putin. And now where do we go?
Well, that is the question, right? And you're right. I think Donald Trump wings it. That's his personality. And as much as his people inside his administration might try to get him to form a coherent policy, that's just not who he is. Scary Girl's asking, would Crimeans even want to be part of Ukraine again? Fuck no. They voted in a plebiscite that was considered free and fair by the observers from the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Overwhelmingly, they wanted to be part of the Russian Federation. And that's the same is true, by the way, of the peace term. Certainly the people I'm going to say the Donbass, but certainly the Eastern Donbass. There's no question. They do not want to be Ukrainian. They never did.
That's right. They never did. It was clear.
I mean, so I don't even know. To this point, I don't even know why Ukraine even wants them back. But on the other hand, Abraham Lincoln wanted the Confederates back. I would have let them go.
Yeah, they would have failed by now.
Yeah, I would. My take has always been like, well, eventually the blacks would have risen up and killed all the slave owners, and then we would have just had an alliance with them, with their new republic, and that would have been it.
Probably it. Yeah.
So you didn't really have to go rushing in. I understand it's 19th century thinking in a big way. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I hope that I really do hope that that Trump keeps this promise. I think he kind of has to, right? I mean,
I think he has to. Yeah, because he's in danger of coming across as Benjamin Netanyahu's bitch, and he knows that's just too far.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, look, it's like this. I already think that he's been BB's bitch.
Yeah.
But the whole world will think of him that way, and that'll be the end of him,
I think so too.
So
I think so too. Yes.
He's got to, I mean, it's too late to stand tall, like the old movie Walking Tall. We're past that point, but I mean, maybe you don't have to become Peter Dinklage. Maybe you can still be normal sized.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right. So let's see. Will Crimea go to Russia or Ukraine? Dual Purpose asks, I mean, they're in Crimea. They've been annexed formally. They are in Russia. They are not, they're not going back, right, John? There's no way.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No, they're not going back. No, I feel very pessimistic about the state of the world today. Whether it's Russia, whether it's the continuing fallout from the Charlie Kirk murder, or others' responses to the fallout of the Charlie Kirk murder, I'm just not optimistic.
Well, we should probably talk about the visas then in conjunction with that, right?
And I know if we have a couple of minutes, I want to talk about Jimmy Kimmel and his return.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. I watched it. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it too.
What do you think?
Here in Los Angeles, I thought it was masterful.
Really?
I do. I think that he perfectly positioned himself. He almost brought himself to tears twice.
That's true.
He still took a swipe at Trump, but he took a swipe at Disney, took a swipe at ABC, took a swipe at Pete Hegseth. I thought it was terrific. You disagree with me, though.
Yeah, but that I couldn't help looking at it as a writer of comedy and of cartoons, and I just kept thinking Stephen Colbert would have handled this better. I mean, what was missing here was irony. You got it in the first section where it's like he's wearing the silly banana the monster outfit, and the sidekick
funny.
with the
I
banana
laughed out loud.
and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we should change. That's funny. But okay, you start. Everyone's tuning in, as he pointed out. Millions of people that never watch are now watching. You've got that audience. They're tuning in right at 11:30 p.m. You don't start out with the, I'd like to thank Seth Meyers, and I'd like to thank, Ted's cat Clovis, and I'd like to, stop. Like the thank yous, we really kind of didn't have to do that. One sentence would have been enough. Thank you to everybody who supported me. Done. And but it was like, it was like he was accepting an Oscar.
Yeah.
And it was boring. And it went on for painful minute after minute after minute. And then
it actually wasn't that long. I'm sure that it felt like it.
It felt long. And I feel like in a way, many people were watching the Jimmy Kimmel Show who have never watched the Jimmy Kimmel Show. So you only get one chance to make a good first impression. From a comedy point of view, I thought it was a fail. Basically he went on there like as a Mr. Serious cultural commentator about America, capital A, drop shadow, Gothic lettering. And I was like, okay, like you can do that, but like you should really keep it light and make fun of the absurdity of the whole situation. Don't be so fucking serious. And I thought he could have made fun of the whole thing. The best moments were when he did joke. I understand that he was really moved. You could see when he first walked out that he was
crying twice.
Yeah, when he first walked out, I could see his eyes were tearing up.
Yes.
So that's I get it. I mean, and I could see why. I mean, it's really a meaningful moment. There aren't many times when someone in American politics or humor or culture gets censored and then is brought back. That almost never happens. And he, I think, understood the gravity of the situation. I didn't disagree with anything he said about authoritarianism. The German line was funny. But I did think, I'm sorry. I just thought, it could have been funnier. But I don't think he's that funny. And I guess this just sort of reinforced it for me.
The Washington Post today has a little review that is very... It should have been on the opinion page, to tell you the truth. They're saying that, he's back and he was confident and he was funny, but he knows his days are numbered. It's like, well, what inside information do you have that his days are numbered? You're going to just throw a grenade into the middle of the room and just, watch to see what happens. You don't know his days are numbered. So I didn't like that, but I thought he did well. And you're right about him having far more viewers last night than he probably ever has. I said to my brother, we were watching it together, that it had to be the longest standing ovation in the history of late night, right? It must have been. So people.
He normally has about 200. Previously, he had about 200,000 nightly viewers. And he had to be well in the millions yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, US XXX. I hate the Oscars where they thank everyone. I'd abolish that. I'd be like, we're going to revoke your Oscar if you thank one person. Don't thank anyone. Go up there and say something interesting. This is why nobody watches the Oscars anymore, because it's boring. It's like, I'd like to thank my literary agent who did the adaptation of my Serbo-Croatian edition of my book based on this film. Shut the fuck up. If you have nothing interesting to say, don't say it.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, I'm churlish.
No, that's okay. Hey, I did want to say something too about John Bolton.
Okay.
So the FBI said today that they did indeed recover classified documents, classified at the confidential and the secret level from John Bolton's home when they raided it. Now, tell me if this is a coincidence or if this is a setup. But Donald Trump went on Truth Social just a couple of days ago and demanded that Attorney General Pam Bondi begin prosecuting his enemies. He did not mention Bolton. He specifically mentioned Comey and Schiff and somebody else, I forget. He didn't mention Bolton. But I've said this 1,000 times. I'm going to say it again. A precedent, a very ugly precedent, was set in my case when Judge Leonie Brinkema redefined espionage as, very simply, providing national defense information to any person not entitled to receive it. In the case of an espionage charge, the person not entitled to receive it can very simply be the cleaning lady who cleans your house and may or may not have had access to it. That's an espionage charge. There's also a subsection of the Espionage Act that makes it espionage to take classified documents out of a secure area and to house them in an unsecure area. These documents were housed in an unsecure area. So he can be charged with multiple counts of espionage here that are legit charges. Now, besides the fact that Donald Trump wants to prosecute everybody, and I acknowledge that that's the case.
Well, not the Epstein people.
Except for the Epstein people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that if what we're seeing in the press is true, and I don't know because
or Tom Homan, sorry,
guy,
got to mention him too.
And Tom Homan, yeah. Oh, and the Post did. The Post is like, but Tom Homan, you can just put 50 grand in a bag and you're okay. But if what we're seeing is true, Bolton, if I went to prison, Bolton should go to prison, and he should go to prison for, this is a 5-year. Each one's a 5-year charge.
Mm.
So, there it is.
I mean. Okay, so I understand that sentiment. Now, taking yourself out of it, do you think that, like, if you can, do you think that, like, objectively, this is the kind of charge that should face years in prison?
No. If you look at the federal sentencing chart, he would be classified in the far left column, which means he has a criminal history of 0. He's never been convicted of a felony before, a federal felony. Mm-hmm. Espionage is row 27. So if he went to trial and was convicted, the government would ask for 7 to 10 years. Mm. Realistically, he would be looking at 2 to 4 years. But again, a precedent in my case, thanks to the good old CIA, was if you have been charged with a national security offense, you may not serve your sentence in a minimum security work camp. And so he would have to go to honest to God prison. Now, he may get a sweetheart deal, who knows? But the one thing I still don't understand, I know I said this last week, I'm going to say it again.
Maybe he can get Eric Adams' deal.
Yeah, exactly. And end up ambassador to Turkey or something. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why his grand jury was convened in Washington. Unless his house is in Washington, but I thought he lived in Maryland. At the same time, if these documents originated at the CIA, and I'm confident that many of them did, he could very easily be charged in the Eastern District of Virginia, in which case he's guaranteed to be convicted and go to prison. So we'll see where it goes. My guess is he's still going to get some kind of a sweetheart deal.
But not from Trump, just because he's the establishment and the big fish don't go down, and he's a fairly decent sized fish.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a little bit depressing.
It is.
Talking of administration, I mean, we should take note. I don't think there's a lot to say about this, but Ben Carson, he's joining the MAHA gang, RFK Jr. He's going to join the U.S. He's going to become the USDA's National Advisor on Nutrition, Rural Healthcare, and housing. This is very esoteric. And he's supposed to lead efforts to implement Make America Healthy Again through state SNAP junk food prohibitions and dietary guidelines. First of all, I just want to say that, like, you know, a good night's sleep is a very important part of our health. And no one makes me sleepier than Ben Carson when he talks.
Yeah,
I mean, so
I'm sure he's a lovely man, but
he should be on at around, when I'm trying to go to sleep, which is around 8:30. he should play for about an hour, and I will probably sleep right through tomorrow into the next day. I'll live to be like 110. You know, my father's 97 years old. You know what he told me? They just renewed his driver's license.
What?
Till he's 101. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Great country. Wow. Man.
Those are, at least half my genes are good. Anyway, so Ben Carson, I mean, I think MAHA is it's a case study in squandered opportunity. Yeah. I mean, it depresses me. This really needed to be taken seriously. And just like all of Trump's stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly, nothing's ever taken seriously except for the really bad shit, like expanding ICE into the biggest armed force in the entire world. Yeah, but, you know, right. I mean, I would have loved him to, you know, be serious about this, and he just clearly wasn't.
Do you remember the painting that he had commissioned of himself, and Jesus is standing behind him with his hand on Carson's shoulder?
Oh, yeah. There's so many of those. Like, there's like all this like right-wing kitsch of like, you know, Jesus with his hand on Trump's shoulder as Trump's leaning down. Trump, who's, you know, whenever he's leaned down, it's usually doing something profane, maybe to Bibi Netanyahu. It's certainly not like worshiping the Lord. It's like, but I love the one with dead Epstein with his hand on Trump's shoulder.
The corpse of Epstein. That's great. Oh, you should have AI make those. You could sell them and get rich.
Oh, yeah. You could just keep doing this. You could have like the bodies of the dead Gazans. You know, it's just like, it just goes on and on and on. There's no end to it, you know.
I shouldn't have said that out loud. I should have just kept it to myself and just do it.
True. Now the idea is out there. Now that the show is becoming popular, we have to be careful. Right? It's not a secret thing among a few friends, right? I mean, it's like people are getting out there. We're like on the splash page on Rumble every day. I mean,
incredible.
No telling.
I'm very proud.
There goes a profit. I'm sure other people are doing it.
They probably are.
Right.
Hey, speaking of which, and I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit too off topic.
Please.
But my Facebook feed today was absolutely full of these medals. What do you call it? The national, whatever, Franklin Mint. There are these medals about the size of an Eisenhower silver dollar, but they're Charlie Kirk on them.
Oh God.
And they come in a framed shadow box with a picture of Charlie Kirk praying like this.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, he's on his knees and he's praying like this. And then it has like the Lord's Prayer next to it.
Oh, not since the Trump Bible.
Exactly.
I mean,
sickening.
It's so blasphemous, right? I mean,
and then it says a portion of all profits go to the Turning Point Foundation. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I mean,
sure they do.
Yeah. I mean, you know, someone who's smarter than me needs to do a book about like MAGA kitsch. There's a book, I think it's called Tourists of History, and it's about like 9/11 kitsch in particular, but it's really fascinating. And basically it talks about how after big tragedies like 9/11, Americans love to put like stuffed animals and stuff like that. Like now, if you think about it, like let's say there's a fire at let's say it's like Newtown, Connecticut. I mean, that would seem appropriate because it was a bunch of the victims were children. But we in this country, like if you have like 9/11, almost none of the victims were children. And most of them were adults. They were office workers for the most part. You know, and yet people, New Yorkers and tourists piled up these, you know, these dolls and these, you know, stuffed animals and stuff. And so anyway, this sociologist, anthropologist who wrote this book, she kind of makes the case that it's kind of amazing that historically the countries that do this kind of like childish form of memorializing, they tend to be extremely violent, militaristic, and expansionist. And she traces it to Nazi Germany, that the Nazis like would do like stuffed animals and stuff, like when like a top-ranking SS guy would be assassinated or something like that. And it's basically like her feeling psychologically, and I buy this, is that a society can't really live with itself being a bunch of aggressive sons of bitches, the way that, say, Nazi Germany was, the way that the United States is certainly in the post-war era, but even before. You can't live with yourself if you view yourself as adults. You have to view yourself as children, because children aren't responsible for what they do.
Oh, that's deep.
Right?
That's deep. Right. What an interesting idea for a study.
The book's great. Strongly recommend it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's something.
Yeah. So this is, I think this Charlie Kirk shit is like that. You know, it's like, it's infantilized. It's kitschy. You know, it's also this whole, like, we are victims. Like everyone just wants to be a victim. Like, no, why are you picking on us? We on the right have never said or been mean to anyone. 9/11. Why do they hate us so much? Oh, I don't know. Can't imagine. You know, like, really? But we were asking that over. Why do they hate us? But we weren't really interested in the answer. What we were really saying is, no one should hate us because we're just little kids, and we shouldn't be hated.
Thank you to Pamela. Pamela Drew explains it. Franklin Mint is Roll Resnick Empire dirtbag with Aspen, with monopoly in California almonds and pistachios. Awful human. See, I did not know that. You know what? I get a shout out to Pamela. Pamela always knows this kind of stuff, and it would never occur to me to even look. And then when she says it, everything suddenly makes sense to me.
So what is the Resnick Empire? I'm not getting that.
Oh, it's multi-millionaires out west. They're in the Inland Empire or something in California. They have a monopoly on almonds. They're the ones that are taking all the water.
Oh, right. Like it's a gallon of water per almond, supposedly.
Right. Exactly.
Something fucking insane. Couple of questions. I mean, you know, sorry, here we go. Muhammad Ali's asking, this is for you. If I'm not mistaken, you're an Orthodox Christian.
I am.
Is something Islam as a part, is Islam part of studying the Arabic language and your CIA agent? Why did you not convert? Since Islam is part of studying the Arabic language, why did you not convert?
Well, you know what? Islam was not a part of studying the Arabic language, which was a complaint that I had. It's funny. I just gave an interview about this a couple of days ago. It was a complaint that I had to the dean of the School of International Affairs at George Washington University. How can you have a Middle Eastern studies degree with no component on Islam or on any other religion for that matter? So I complained about it. And then my junior year there, they hired Syed Hossein Nasser, who had been very briefly the Shah of Iran's last chief of staff, but he was a like globally respected thinker on Islam. You're right. There are a lot of guys, not just in school, but at the CIA who studied Islam, usually at the grad level, and then converted to Islam.
Really?
I wasn't interested in converting. I have my own faith and my own ideas. I just wanted to know more about Islam. I even took a course in Judaism. I had a minor in religion because I decided to to take as many Islamic studies classes as I could. So I ended up with a minor in religion. I took Christianity, I took Judaism, and I took a whole bunch of Islam. And I don't know, I felt like I was able to carry on then an intelligent conversation when I was in the Middle East, whether it was with a pious Muslim or a pious Jew or even a member of the Orthodox Church in Jerusalem or in Syria or anywhere else. There was a guy, sorry, I'm going to get off on a little tangent here. There was a guy I worked with. I'm going to tell you his name too. It was Andrew Warren. You can Google him. Andrew was a superstar at the agency. We worked together 3 different times in the Middle East, in CIA headquarters, and at the United Nations. And Andrew was one of like 8 children, the son of a Baptist minister. He decided to get a master's degree in Middle Eastern studies at the University of Amman in Jordan. And while he was in graduate school, he converted to Islam. His parents were absolutely livid, but he converted to Islam. And because he was one of those rare, black case officers who was also a Muslim and also spoke fantastic Arabic, his career just took off like a rocket. After I left the agency, his next assignment was in Cairo, and then he became the station chief in Algiers. The problem was that he really, really liked to rape women while they were unconscious.
Ooh.
And so he would have these dinner parties, and he would slip roofies in women's drinks, and he would rape them. And he would videotape himself raping them. And then when they would come to in the morning, he'd say, "What are you going to do about it? You're Muslim. You're not going to tell anybody." Well, he raped a woman in Algiers. Now, 21 of the rapes were in Cairo. 2 of the rapes were in Algiers. And the last woman he raped had the wherewithal to go to the ambassador and say, "Your man raped me." So the ambassador, God bless him, sent a cable. And there's a special channel that an American ambassador can send a cable directly to the CIA without the State Department seeing it. And so he sent a cable in this special channel, and headquarters cabled Andrew and said, "Hey, we were just going through your file and we realized that you forgot to sign up for the class on, like cultural sensitivity or whatever. So fly home for a week, take the class. It's 2 days. Then you do some consultation at headquarters. Then you fly back." When he landed at Dulles Airport, they arrested him and they charged him with rape. He got out on bond. And while he was out on bond, he was rearrested in Virginia Beach, Virginia, walking down the street naked, carrying a gun, high on meth. And when the cops tried to stop him, he put the gun to his head, and they were able to tase him. They knocked the gun out of his hand. He ended up serving 6.5 years at a prison in Kentucky. And then I lost touch with, whatever happened to him. Sure enough, a couple of months ago, he's in the New York Post. He's now known as Reverend Drew. Reverend Drew is now a Baptist minister at this evangelical Black Baptist church in Harlem. And why was he in the New York Post? Because he raped an 80-year-old woman. And now he's in trouble again. And I'll tell you what, the moral of the story is that there are a whole lot of people like this walking around the CIA today. Sorry.
That's a crazy story. Yeah. I can't even. I'm gobsmacked. We had a question. Let me, thank you for the donation from Selamam, $20. Very, very generous. Do we think that the negative press that Prince Harry receives is a deflection of Prince Andrew and his Epstein connection? Because the more I read about Prince Andrew, the more sick I get.
What do you think?
I do think that that's possible. I mean, certainly. I mean, I'm not really sure. I guess I think Prince Harry, like, pissed off the. I think there's a lot of things at work here. First of all, he pissed off the press by not playing nice with them, and I think that's a big part of it. It's like the press and the royal press industrial complex on Fleet Street in the UK doesn't. They expect a certain standard of behavior, certain give and take that they didn't get from Harry.
Yeah.
I think they didn't like the Meghan marriage
at all.
And I kind of don't like the Meghan marriage because she comes off as, Harry seems like a lost soul, and she comes off as very controlling, and sort of like she literally kind of told him, let's run away from the royal family and like, let's leave all this. And
she did. She talked him into it. Right.
Yeah, she talked him into it. And so, I mean, I think that's sort of like, well, he's not playing the game anymore. And so, you're supposed to stay and play. Although I kind of understand, like, I like the title of his book, Spare, because that's what he is. I mean, it's kind of like, hey, just in case, in the extremely unlikely event that we need you, stick around and go to all these boring ceremonies and don't live a real life. So, I got to say, that's the case here.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that distraction only helps them keep Prince Andrew out of the press. And I hate when I read in the British press that, oh, the king, he's so upset with his brother Prince Andrew, he took this title away from him, and he's not allowed to go to this conference in France. It's like, when are you really going to do something? The guy's an admitted pedophile. When are you going to bring him to justice? Instead of just saying, well, he's being punished. He's not allowed to go to the conference in France.
By the way, Stephen Victor Andrews is saying he's mad because X banned him last night when he was drunk and saying that I was a communist, which he is. Ted Rall will agree with me that he's a communist. Yes, if you need me to call Elon and tell him, I will tell him that what you said was true, and that I will not only not sue you, that I would thank you for your compliment.
Well, but Stephen Victor Andrews is also saying that you're a DNC stooge. So,
well, you can't really be both.
You can't be both. No.
Yeah, he's going to have to choose. Also, don't X drunk. This is what friends don't let friends X drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he should be banned for stuff like that. Although, I don't think calling someone a communist is libelous. I think it's.
No.
I mean, it
I
was at one point. I mean, for a lot of people in the 50s and stuff, but it isn't now, as far as I'm concerned.
I remember when I was a little kid, we were visiting my grandmother's house, my mother's mother, and my mom said something about wanting to watch Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and my grandmother's English wasn't terrific, but my grandmother said, "Oh, Stella, we can't watch them. They're communists." And my mom said, "They're not communists, Mom. They're comedians."
That's awesome.
Still remember it. I think I must have been 6.
Oh, my God. That's so great. That's great. Flowcharge is saying that Harry's not a legitimate royal. I am not. I'm just reading this, as he's not the son of Prince Charles, but the army officer James Hewitt. Yes, Diana had an affair. Yes, I know she had an affair. I guess I haven't followed
no idea
this
what
enough.
the truth is, but he looks exactly like James Hewitt, just like Ronan Farrow looks exactly like Frank Sinatra.
Those two statements are very true. Yes, I mean, yes. There's no question about that. Oh boy. Anyway, I guess we should, since we're talking about banning. So Alphabet, which is the very poorly named but extremely wealthy parent company of Google, sent a letter to the House Judiciary Committee saying that if you were a creator banned for saying shit about COVID, vaccines, or whatever, or COVID in general, or the 2020 election having been allegedly stolen by Biden at Trump's expense, that you can apply now for reinstatement, saying that in particular, if you were a conservative. They're really interested in reinstating you. In other words, there's lots of lefties who were banned for the same exact reasons.
Yeah.
Especially for COVID. I wrote a whole article for the Wall Street Journal. It was a news piece, really, even though it appeared on the opinion page, talking about all the people who lost their jobs during COVID for just refusing to be vaccinated or being skeptical. Anyway, so Alphabet's rolling that back. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, Steve Bannon, other people are all like looking to go back to Google, going back to Alphabet, that they would be back on YouTube. They don't have to just live on Rumble exclusively. They'd be like us. They get to be both on YouTube. I guess I'm okay with this. I don't like the prioritizing of conservative voices over liberal voices any more than I would like the other way around. It shouldn't be that way. Look, I'm very deeply uncomfortable with the idea that like there's, things that, like, I don't know, for example, anything about any links between autism and vaccines. I've looked into it. I've read a lot about it. I don't understand it. Okay, so I don't have an opinion about it, really. But I mean, it bothers me that we can't talk about it.
It bothers me too.
And so I guess anything that rolls back censorship is good.
Jace says a coworker of mine got fired for talking about Charlie Kirk on Facebook. Someone screenshot his argument and sent it to the company. There's a piece on the front page of the Washington Post today about that happening to an elementary school teacher in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And it seems to be, and this is not exclusive to the Republicans or to conservatives, certainly, because the liberals do this all the time. But this is the trend. If you don't like someone exercising their constitutional right to freedom of speech, you get them fired from their job. And it's happening all the time now. Yeah.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, that's routine. I hate that. And especially if it's, look, I understand completely. Let's say you're public facing and let's say you're, let's say you have a swastika tattoo on your neck.
Right.
And I might be hesitant to hire you as a waiter at my restaurant.
Right.
Because for obvious reasons, I don't have to explain why. Right. But honestly, let's say you're back office. If you're back office or something, I don't think that's my business. And I think I think you should be able to have a job, and I don't have a problem with you. And you might obviously, in my opinion, should not have that swastika on your neck. But that's your stupid choice. I mean, Pete Hegseth has white nationalist tattoos all over his chest.
Yeah,
he's the Secretary of War.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I have like the full 5,000 Facebook friends, but I actually know, let's say 250 or 300 of the 5,000. And I'd say a majority of them are probably conservatives. These are all friends from high school, friends from college, friends from my hometown, and relatives. Most of them are conservative. Not most of them. The majority of them are conservative. But I wouldn't dream of taking a screenshot of one of their opinions about something and sending it to an employer. Like, how does their opinion on some issue affect me that then in order to feel better about myself, I have to make sure they lose their livelihoods? It's so ugly and mean-spirited. I can't believe. If you don't like what somebody's saying on Facebook, unfriend them. It's really as simple as that. Or if you don't even want to be embarrassed by unfriending them, just unfollow them, for heaven's sake.
To put a fine point on it, I mean, honestly, like, let's say you take a screenshot of what someone says, you send it to their boss, just like you said, John. Well, you're literally trying to that's attempted murder, because what you're doing, because what could happen is that person could lose their job and they may never work again, because we live in a society that doesn't guarantee you work, right? So they may starve to death, because we live in a society that doesn't have a good social safety net. They could become homeless and die outside. You're literally threatening someone's life. Their livelihood, what's your livelihood? The way you maintain your life and pay for your life. I mean, people should be thinking long and hard before they do that. They shouldn't be running to the local kommandatur and reporting people to the Gestapo.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I feel exactly the same way.
There was our little troll who was in the chat who I had to killify. So you know how it is. The demonizer says, I wouldn't want to be under the care of a medical professional who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. I have to admit, who cares? I mean,
then don't be.
Yeah, then don't be. But it's like, I think it's a really weird metric, though. I mean, it's like Barry Goldwater famously said that he didn't care if gays were in the military. He said, I don't care if the guy in the foxhole next to me is straight. I care if he shoots straight.
And there it is.
And like, that's how I feel. I mean, I don't give a shit if the pilot of my plane is like a anti-communist, fascist, has Donald Trump's face tattooed all over his ass. I mean, who cares? I don't care. Like, fly the plane. I'll say thank you when I get off the plane for flying the plane safely. What I don't understand this desire to police people through their work.
Agreed. I agree. Yep. I feel the same way. I honestly, I don't care what other people's opinions on these political issues are. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm unusual in that I respect people's rights to have differing opinions. Now, if you're advocating violence against somebody, that's different. Sure, I'm going to object to that. Or, racism or something overtly horrible like that. But otherwise, I don't care what people's positions are on these issues.
I mean, I definitely know people who say racist shit. And, I argue with them. And I think that's also part of it, is to engage with, these are not just evil opinions. They're mistaken opinions.
Yeah.
And you can, there's good, scientific, strong, logical reasoning that should prevail if this person that you're talking to is reasonably coherent. I'm glad this comment came up. Dorina Filippini, said, these ICE must be stopped. These are Nazis coming to the earth to do harm and break up families. I don't know. I'm assuming that's a straightforward, non-sarcastic comment. And it serves as a good jumping off point to talk about this attack in Dallas. John, you and I have been talking about ICE's tactics, driving around in unmarked cars, masking up, no ID, wearing cheesy outfits and gear that they bought online or whatever, or, at Dick's Sporting Goods, or at the police, surplus store, and that this was going to inevitably lead to violence and that people were going to start, lashing back. Look, I'll fess up. I generally have a dim view of ICE. I think they are bad people. I think what they're doing is bad. I think if you're an ICE employee, you have a moral obligation to resign under protest at this point, not because they're deporting people, but because of the way that they're doing it. If this is a free country doesn't have people wandering around in vans, snatching people off the street, and who could be anyone. And there's already been major cases of impersonation. Women have been raped.
Oh yes,
like by people. I'm ICE. Come with me, and then they take them somewhere and rape them. And how's the woman to know, right? So now we have the situation in Dallas where someone shot at the ICE field office. Ridiculously and tragically, it wasn't the ICE. I mean, it was 2 detainees who were killed and another critically injured. So the death count may go up. And apparently this was an anti-ICE attack. There's been 3 attacks against ICE in Texas in a matter of months. There was an ambush outside the ICE office in July, and a bomb hoax in August. Ted Cruz says that we should avoid divisive rhetoric, and that we can't paint opponents as Nazis, right? To which I say, well, if the jackboot fits, wear it.
That's right.
But
Ted Cruz.
I mean,
Please.
I understand. I mean, come on, that has to go both ways. I will give Ted Cruz props for what he said about Jimmy Kimmel, although it was still kind of partisan. He's like, oh, if we do this to them, they could do this to us. That's not the right reason to be against this, the censoring of Kimmel. The reason to be against it is because it's wrong and it's anti-American.
Yeah.
But whatever, I'll take my grace where I can get it. But anyway, we're going to see more of this. ICE's behavior is so provocative, so violent, so cruel, and so fundamentally un-American that I can't really blame. I'm not justifying this. It's not justifiable. But I'm not surprised at all that people are lashing out violently against them. Really can't. I'm not surprised at all. And part of me was sort of like, I can't say that I would be as upset about this if they had gotten the ICE guys instead of the detainees.
Yeah.
I really wish I couldn't say that. I'm upset. Like, I remember reading about like the New Left in the early 70s. There was some crazy left-wing group here in New York that was assassinating New York police officers while they were like sitting in their squad cars. And even though I was like, 6 when that happened, I read this all these years later and I found it really upsetting. And I should find that upsetting. When Ronald Reagan was shot, who I hated and who got me, I was all my classmates lost their financial aid and I lost my financial aid. But when he was shot, I was upset. I should be upset as someone who didn't like Ronald Reagan about that. If I wouldn't be upset at an attack against an ICE officer, it could say something about me, but it also says something about them.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, it begs the question too, what's the end game here? How bad does this get before society turns around and tries to make it right again? I really honestly fear for the country right now. We're so divided, and there are apparently so many people willing to use violence against those with whom they disagree or those who represent organizations or ideas with which they disagree, that I don't know. I think we're all in danger.
We are. No, we're in danger. We're in a hot mess, John. I gotta say, I'm going to put this up. Houdini says, I don't buy that the shooter hit 3 people and them all being detainees if his goal was to hit an agent.
I have to agree. I
agree too. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't buy it at all.
You know what I think? Okay, I'm just going to say it. And I'm not prone to conspiracies. I think the government wrote that shit on the bullets.
It's absolutely possible. Sure.
I mean, it's ridiculous, but I really think they did. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, I think that's right. Hey, we've got Maximus 005, thank you for the donation. He says, hey, gentlemen, what are your thoughts about the Greek spyware scandal? I read from the BBC that 2 Greeks and, interestingly, 2 Israelis have been accused with marketing the software. Greece has a long and very unfortunate history of allowing themselves to be bugged. The Greek leadership has been bugged, apparently by the CIA. That was the early part of the last decade. The early part of 2 decades ago, before and after the Olympics, and political parties have bugged the other side repeatedly. Now there's yet another bugging scandal at the highest levels of the Greek government. I will tell you that I believe the CIA bugged the Greek leadership 20 years ago. I believe the Israeli leadership bugged the Greeks now. Yeah, this is going to get ugly. And, previously, this has been bad enough to bring down Greek governments.
U.S. XXX Arad says something. He's agreeing with me, so of course I agree with him. I agree with people who agree with me. But he says, no one says anti-ICE. That's exactly right? You'd write fuck ICE is what you would write on those things. No one would ever write anti-ICE.
That's a very good point.
It's so dumb.
Who said that?
U.S. XXX.
That is a very good point. We've never seen or heard anybody say anti-ICE. You're right. The chant is fuck ICE.
Yeah. there's a song by the Damned called Anti-Pope. And it's like so funny because it's hilarious because it's so deliberately clumsy in the way it's like, that's the day I became anti-Pope. And like, who would do that? Who would say that? And that's why it's droll. And like, no one would ever say like, anti-MAGA. You just wouldn't say that.
No, you would not say that. No.
Yeah.
I also don't buy for one split second, as we talked about yesterday, that the bullet lodged in his neck and didn't break the skin. Nope.
In terms of Charlie Kirk?
Yeah.
No. that is not true and could not be true, as my lawyer used to like to say. Yeah. So, well, I guess we ticked all the boxes here. We talked about everything we wanted to talk about. We answered a bunch of questions. It's been a long day. How many podcasts? How many interviews did you do today? I think I did 5.
This is my 4th, and I'm going on the Jimmy Dore show in an hour.
Wow. Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah.
I've never been on that show. We
ran into each other in Chicago last Wednesday, and he's like, "Hey, you got to come on the show." I said, "Actually, I'm going to be in LA, so I'm going to drive over to his house."
Oh, nice.
It's he does the show in his garage.
Oh, really?
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
So old school. So, all right. Well, let's see if there's any more questions we have to hit before we take off. See, I like that. Flowcharge Very says those who would say Antifa would say it. Okay. All right. Let's see. Callis is saying that Charlie, was wearing a vest. I heard a report that it deflected upwards. I mean, he was a beefy dude. I don't know if he was definitely wearing a vest or not. He didn't look like he was wearing a vest to me.
I didn't notice any vest, but I wasn't looking for one either.
Yeah. Everybody's agreeing. No one said with us. Nobody says anti-ICE. Yeah. Alexander Lucia says, like spraying the word anti-Semitic somewhere to insult people. That's exactly right. Ridiculous.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Athenian. I would absolutely jump at that job. I could be out there in 24 hours. Mr. Athenian 89 says I should be ambassador to Greece.
Well, yeah, that would be a sweet gig. Get to live in that beautiful house in Athens.
Love it.
All right, guys.
Love it.
All right, so we will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time, on Thursday at 5. Please like, follow, and share the show. Thanks for all of your questions, your donations, your comments, and so on. To the guy I had to ban, why do you do that? We'll just ban you if you keep trolling. Trolls are not welcome in the Rumble or
and they're not funny or ironic. They're just
it's a waste of time.
Stupid waste of time.
This is a place for smart conversation, whether we agree or disagree.
Yes.
So anyway. All right, John, always a pleasure. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And thanks, everyone. Bye.